The medical bay of the human frontier ship was silent except for the steady hum of machines and the slow, uneven breathing of the wounded alien on the table. Pale lights reflected off steel walls, making the dark red blood on the floor look almost black. The alien female lay restrained by energy bands, her chest barely rising. Her skin was ash gray, smooth like stone, marked with deep gashes that glowed faintly purple. 2 sharp fangs rested against her lower lip, unmistakable proof of what she was, a vampirin. Across the galaxy, that name carried fear. Vampirin ships left entire colonies empty. They did not conquer land. They consumed life. Most species killed them on sight, if they were brave enough. Humans were warned never to let one live. Dr. Elias Carter ignored the warnings. He stood near the table, sleeves rolled up, hands stained with alien blood, his face calm but focused. He had seen many wounded beings in his years as a combat medic, but never one like this. Her biology was strange, unfamiliar, and dangerous, yet she was alive. That was enough for him. Vitals are unstable, the ship's AI said softly. Probability of survival, 12%. Then we work with 12%, Carter replied. His voice was steady. Prep the nanostitcher and increase plasma filtration. Around him, the rest of the medical team watched in tense silence. One nurse shifted nervously, eyes fixed on the alien's fangs. "Doctor," she whispered, "she's a vampirin. If she wakes, she won't if we do our job right." Carter said, without looking up. "And, if we let her die, we become no better than the stories they tell about us." No one argued. Humans had a reputation for stubborn compassion. Sometimes it saved lives. Sometimes it got them killed. The vampirin had been found drifting in a shattered escape pod near the edge of human space. No weapons, no signals, just blood and silence. She had been hunted. That much was clear. Whatever battle she escaped from, she had lost. Carter injected a stabilizing compound, watching carefully as it flowed through translucent tubing into her veins. Her body reacted instantly. The purple glow around her wounds flickered, then dimmed. "That's working?" the nurse asked. Carter allowed himself a small breath. "Seems like it." The alien's eyes snapped open. They were silver, sharp, and filled with panic. In a blur of movement faster than any human reflex, the vampirin strained against her restraints. Energy bands crackled as she snarled, teeth fully exposed. Her gaze locked onto Carter, not as a person, but as prey. Before anyone could react, one restraint failed. She lunged. Pain exploded through Carter's arm as her fangs sank into his flesh. Warm blood spilled, and the world seemed to slow. The nurse screamed. Security alarms blared. "Doctor!" someone shouted. Carter gritted his teeth but did not pull away. His other hand slammed the emergency stabilizer into her neck. The vampirin hissed as the drug took effect, her grip loosening. Then something strange happened. Instead of growing stronger, her body stiffened. Her silver eyes widened in shock. A choked gasp escaped her throat as she pulled away. Blood on her lips. "What did you do to me?" she whispered, her voice hoarse and broken. Carter staggered back, clutching his bleeding arm. "Nothing," he said, breathing hard. "You did that yourself." The alien trembled. Her veins glowed bright red, the purple fading completely. She collapsed back onto the table, weak, confused, and afraid. The AI spoke again, its tone altered with surprise. "Doctor, her vital signs are stabilizing. However, her metabolic systems are experiencing acute overload." Carter looked at her, realization dawning. "Human blood," he murmured. "It's not compatible." The vampirin stared at him, fear replacing aggression. "Your blood burns," she said quietly. "It should not. You should be dead. See and resurrect. See and resurrect." Carter tore a strip of fabric and wrapped his arm. "Guess we both learned something new." Security rushed in, weapons raised, But Carter lifted his hand. Stand down. She's not a threat right now. The vampirin let out a weak laugh, almost bitter. You heal me? After I attack you? Yes, Carter said simply. Because you were dying. Silence filled the room. The alien studied him as if seeing him for the first time. Her breathing slowly evened out as the machines adjusted to her new condition. You are human, she said. Why? Carter met her gaze. Because someone has to be. Hours passed. The vampirin slept, sedated, and bound more securely. Carter remained nearby, monitoring her condition. His arm throbbed, but the wound was shallow. He had survived worse. When she woke again, it was slowly. No sudden movements. No snarl. Just wary eyes scanning the room. You are still alive, she said. So are you, Carter replied. That makes us even. She hesitated, then spoke. My name does not translate easily. But you may call me Lyra. Elias, he said. Dr. Elias Carter. She tested the restraints, weaker now, and stopped. You could have killed me. Your kind always does. We don't, Carter said. Not always. Lyra looked away. The galaxy says otherwise. Humans are unpredictable, dangerous. He smiled faintly. That part's true. She was silent for a long moment, then asked, Why does my body reject you? Carter leaned back against a counter. We evolved under harsh conditions. Our immune systems are aggressive. Our blood carries defenses meant to kill invaders. Lyra's eyes narrowed. You are poison. Only if you try to drink us, he said. Something shifted in her expression. Fear, respect, and something else, confusion. My people rule through hunger, she said quietly. Through fear. You showed neither. We've been afraid, Carter admitted. Just not enough to let you die. The ship shuddered suddenly. Warning lights flashed. The AI's voice echoed through the bay. Multiple warp signatures detected. Non-human. Vampirin origin. I. Lyra's breath caught. They have found me. Carter straightened. How long do we have? Minutes, the AI replied. Lyra closed her eyes. You should give me back. They will destroy you for this. Carter looked at the wounded alien on his table. The enemy everyone feared, now broken and vulnerable. He thought of Earth, of humanity's long history of standing its ground against impossible odds. No, he said. Lyra opened her eyes. You will die. Maybe, Carter replied, but not because we were afraid. Outside the medical bay, the ship prepared for battle. Inside, a human doctor continued to monitor an alien vampire who no longer knew whether humans were monsters or something far worse. And for the first time in her long life, Lyra realized she was more afraid of surviving than dying because surviving meant facing a truth her people had never understood. Humans did not need to feed on fear. They thrived without it. The ship trembled as it dropped out of warp, the deep vibration rolling through metal and bone. Warning lights painted the corridors in red. Outside, space filled with dark shapes, sleek vampirin vessels, sharp like blades, surrounding the lone human ship. Inside the medical bay, Lyra felt the change immediately. Her senses sharpened, fear flooding her veins like ice. They are here, she said quietly. Dr. Elias Carter stood near a console, reading incoming data. His face was serious, but not panicked. I know. Across the ship, human crew members moved with practiced speed. Weapons powered up. Shields rose. No shouting. No chaos. Just focused motion. Lyra watched him closely. Humans were supposed to be loud in fear, reckless when cornered. Yet this one moved like he had expected this moment all along. You should release me, she said again. If they find me aboard, they will not stop until you are dust. Carter didn't look at her. That's already true. Vampirin ships don't usually knock and ask. She frowned. Then why protect me? He finally turned. Because you're injured. Because you're here. And because we don't hand over people to be executed. I am not people, Lyra said sharply. I am Vampirin. Carter shrugged. You're talking, breathing, thinking. Close enough. The ship shook again, harder this time. The shields flared as something struck them from outside. The AI's voice filled the bay. Shields at 93%. Enemy vessels are attempting to disable engines. Lyra closed her eyes. She could feel her kind through the hull. Their hunger. Their confidence. They believed they were already victorious. They will board you, she said. They will drain your crew to make an example. Carter moved to her side, adjusting a monitor. Then, they'll be disappointed. She laughed weakly. You are brave. Or foolish. Both, he said. Minutes passed like hours. Then the impact came. A deep crash echoed through the ship as the hull was breached. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut. The lights flickered, then stabilized. They are aboard, the AI reported. Lyra's breathing quickened. Instinct screamed at her to hide. To submit. To survive. She expected Carter to step back. To regret saving her. Instead, he unlocked one of her restraints. She stared at him in shock. What are you doing? If they reach medical, he said calmly, I don't want you tied down. You trust me? She asked. No, Carter said honestly. But I trust you. More than them. Something in her chest twisted painfully. Boots thundered in the corridor outside. Voices followed sharp, cold, and cruel. Human vessel, a Vampirin voice called out through the speakers. You are harboring stolen property. Surrender it, and we may allow some of you to live. Carter tapped a control, opening a channel. She's not property. She's a patient. Laughter echoed back, dark and mocking. All life is property to those strong enough to take it. Carter's reply was quiet. That's where we disagree. The doors to the medical bay slid open with a hiss. 3 Vampirin warriors stepped inside. Tall and elegant. Their eyes glowing faintly. Their armor was organic. Pulsing softly, alive. Their leader looked at Lyra and smiled. There you are, he said. You caused quite a problem. Lyra shrank back instinctively, then stopped herself. She looked at Carter. He did not move. She's under our protection, Carter said. The Vampirin leader tilted his head, studying the human. You are prey, he said. You do not protect. You endure until consumed. He stepped closer, fangs visible. I will demonstrate. In one smooth motion, he grabbed a human nurse from behind Carter and sank his fangs into her neck. The scream was cut short. Then the Vampirin screamed. He staggered back, convulsing, eyes wide with disbelief. Smoke rose faintly from his mouth as he collapsed to the floor, twitching. The other Vampirin froze. Lyra stared, heart pounding. She could feel it, the violent reaction, the way human blood tore through Vampirin biology like fire. Carter moved instantly, pulling the nurse away, pressing a hand to her wound. Get med support now, he ordered. The remaining Vampirin snarled. What trick is this? No trick, Carter said. Just biology. The Vampirin attacked. The humans fought back not with brute strength, but with coordination. Stun weapons, traps, controlled movements. One Vampirin fell, overwhelmed by non-lethal shocks that disrupted their nervous system. The last tried to flee. Lyra moved. She didn't know why. Maybe it was fear. Maybe anger. Maybe something Carter had broken inside her. She stepped forward and blocked his path. You failed, she said. The Vampirin hesitated, shocked to see her standing with humans. That hesitation cost him everything. A stun pulse dropped him to the floor. Silence filled the bay. Lyra stood there, shaking. Carter looked at her. You okay? She nodded slowly. They should have won, but they didn't, he said. Outside, the battle shifted. Human ships arrived small, fast, coordinated. They didn't chase the Vampirin fleet. They held formation, forced distance, denied advantage. The Vampirin withdrew. Hours later, the ship was quiet again. Damage reports streamed in. Casualties were few. The nurse survived. Lyra sat on the edge of the medical table, unrestrained now. Carter cleaned his instruments, exhaustion heavy in his movements. "My people will speak of this," she said. "They will be afraid." "Good," Carter replied. "They will hunt you harder." He smiled faintly. "They already were." Lyra studied him. "You could have used this knowledge sooner. You could poison them, destroy them." Carter looked up. "We could. But that's not who we are." "Then who are you?" she asked. He thought for a moment. "Survivors. Builders. Healers. Sometimes fighters. We adapt." Lyra lowered her gaze. "Everything I was taught is wrong. Most of what we're taught is," Carter said gently. She met his eyes. "If I return to my people, they will kill me for what I know." "You don't have to return," he said. "What would I be?" she asked. "I am too dangerous to feed, too changed to belong." Carter considered her words. "Then you'd be something new." Outside the viewport, stars drifted by. Humanity's space was quiet, unassuming, and stubbornly alive. Lyra felt something unfamiliar settle in her chest, not hunger, not fear, hope, and it terrified her more than any battle ever had. The silence after the battle did not last long. Lyra felt it before the alarm sounded. A pressure in her mind, distant but heavy, like a storm forming beyond the horizon. Her people were not done. They never stopped after one failure. They learned, adapted, and returned stronger. The human ship moved away from the damaged sector, engines burning steady. Repairs were underway, but everyone knew it was temporary safety at best. Dr. Elias Carter stood on the bridge now, not in the medical bay. He was not a soldier, but humans did not always separate roles in times like these. Screens showed space traffic, sensor readings, and long-range scans. Lyra stood a few steps behind him, watching quietly. No restraints, no guards. That alone felt unreal. "They will come again," she said. Carter nodded. "We're counting on it." She turned to him, surprised. "You want them to come?" "I want them to understand," he replied. "There's a difference." Lyra studied his face. Humans hid their fear well, but she could sense it. It was there, controlled and sharp, not overwhelming. Fear that sharpened thought instead of dulling it. A chime echoed through the bridge. The AI spoke. "Long-range detection. Multiple Vampiran capital ships entering the system." Lyra's breath caught. "That is not a search party," she said. "That is judgment." The Vampiran did not send fleets unless they intended to erase something completely. Carter straightened. "Open a channel." The bridge crew looked at him, surprised, but obeyed. A wide holographic display flickered to life. Moments later, a Vampiran figure appeared, tall, regal, eyes glowing brighter than any Lyra had seen before. "Humans," the figure said, "you have interfered with our order. You harbor a traitor and poison our kind." Lyra stepped forward. "High Executor," she said softly, "I am not a traitor." The Vampiran's gaze snapped to her. "You fed on prey and failed," he said. "You weakened yourself with mercy." "I was healed," Lyra replied. "By those you call prey," the High Executor laughed. "Healing does not change nature," Carter spoke. "Actually, it does. That's how evolution works." The Vampiran turned his attention to Carter. "Your blood is a weapon," he said. "You did not know it. Now you do. You will attempt to use it." "We already decided not to," Carter replied. Lyra glanced at him sharply. The High Executor narrowed his eyes. "You lie." Carter shook his head. "We could wipe out your boarding parties easily. We could lace traps with our blood, turn every close encounter into a death sentence. But that would only teach you to fight from farther away, to burn worlds instead." "Then you accept extinction," the Vampiran said. "No," Carter said calmly. "We accept negotiation." Silence followed. Real silence. Lyra felt it ripple through the Vampiran fleet. Confusion, disbelief. "You negotiate with predators?" the High Executor asked. Carter folded his hands behind his back. We negotiate with anyone who can choose. The vampirin's eyes glowed brighter. Then choose now. Surrender, Lyra, or we erase this system. Lyra felt the moment stretch thin. She could end this. Give herself back. Let humans live. She stepped forward again. I will return, she said. Carter turned sharply. Lyra, she raised a hand. Listen, if I return in chains, nothing changes. But if I return speaking truth, maybe something does. The High Executor smiled. You will speak nothing. Lyra met his gaze. I already have. She reached out and placed her hand on Carter's arm. Show them, she said. Carter understood. He nodded to the AI. Transmit the data. Across the void, encrypted packets streamed outward. Medical scans. Biochemical analysis. Footage of the boarding incident. The moment human blood burned through vampirin biology, the vampirin fleet reacted instantly. Ships shifted formation. Weapons powered up. Then hesitated. The High Executor's expression changed. Not fear, but calculation. So, he said slowly. You are lethal up close. Yes, Carter said. Only if attacked. You expect us to believe restraint makes you strong, the vampirin replied. No, Carter said. Restraint proves we're already strong. Lyra felt the truth of it settle in her bones. Humanity did not dominate through hunger. They survived through control. The High Executor leaned forward. If we cannot feed on you, he said, we will starve. Lyra spoke again. That is a lie. We evolved to feed on fear because it was easy, not because it was necessary. Murmurs rippled through the vampirin ranks. Doubt. Dangerous doubt. You would change our nature, the High Executor said coldly. No, Lyra replied. I would remind us we had a choice. The High Executor's eyes hardened. Enough. The feed cut. Immediately, space erupted with movement. Vampirin ships advanced, weapons charging. Carter's voice remained steady. All ships. Defensive formation. No pursuit. No lethal targeting unless breached. Lyra watched in awe as human vessels moved like a single organism. Small ships darted, shields overlapping. Larger ones anchored the formation, absorbing fire without panic. The vampirin attacked hard, but they did not board. They stayed at range, and that was the mistake. Human ships did not need to close distance. They disrupted sensors, jammed communications, and cut supply lines, not to destroy, but to isolate. Hours passed. Then days. The vampirin fleet stalled. Their ships were powerful, but they burned resources fast. They were built for terror strikes, not long standoffs. Humans endured. Finally, the High Executor opened the channel again. You will release Lyra, he said, and we will withdraw. Carter looked at Lyra. Your choice. She stepped forward. I will go, she said. Not as property. Not as prey. As proof. The High Executor hesitated. And if you lie? Then kill me, Lyra said. But if I speak truth, listen. Silence. Agreed, the High Executor said at last. Lyra turned to Carter. You should hate me, she said. My kind will try again. Carter shook his head. Probably. But next time, they'll remember this. She paused, then asked quietly, Why are you like this? He smiled faintly. Because someone once showed us mercy, too. Lyra boarded a small shuttle alone. As it drifted toward the vampirin flagship, she looked back at the human fleet. Still holding formation. Still ready. But not advancing. Not predators. Not prey. Something else entirely. And as the stars shifted around her, Lyra understood the truth that would change the galaxy. Humanity was not dangerous because they could kill monsters. Humanity was dangerous because they could choose not to. The vampirin flagship was vast and cold, grown rather than built. Its walls pulsed faintly, alive with the thoughts of those who ruled it. Lyra walked through its halls alone, escorted at a distance by silent guards. No chains bound her. but she felt the weight of judgment pressing down harder than any restraint. Whispers followed her. She could sense them: fear, anger, confusion. Her people felt it too. The humans had broken something that had lasted for ages. Not with weapons, but with truth. She was brought before the High Executor once more. The chamber was wide and dark, lit by a soft red glow. Elders surrounded the central platform, their eyes sharp, their presence heavy. "You return," the High Executor said. "Alive." "Yes," Lyra replied. "You failed," another elder said. "You fed and were poisoned." "I was injured and healed," Lyra corrected. "By humans." A low hiss spread through the chamber. "They are prey," an elder snapped. "Weak, short-lived. They are resilient," Lyra said calmly. "Adaptive, and not what we believed." The High Executor rose slowly. "Speak your truth, then, before we silence you." Lyra took a steady breath. She remembered the medical bay, the calm hands, the choice to heal instead of kill. "Our hunger was never about survival," she said. "It was about control. Fear was easy. Humans showed me another way." "Enough," an elder growled. "They are poison to us." "Yes," Lyra agreed. "Only when we try to feed on them. Their blood is not a weapon they designed. It is who they are." Silence followed. Dangerous silence. "If we cannot feed," the High Executor said, "we lose dominance." "And gain a future," Lyra replied. "One not built on endless war." "You would weaken us," another elder said. "No," Lyra said. "I would change us." The High Executor studied her for a long moment. "You are no longer vampirin as you were," Lyra nodded. "Then I will leave." That caused unrest. Exile was worse than death to her kind. "You would walk away from power?" the High Executor asked. "Yes." "Then go," he said coldly. "But know this, your humans will not always choose mercy." Lyra met his gaze. "Neither will we. That is why choice matters." She turned and walked away. Far across the system, the human fleet detected the vampirin ships withdrawing. One by one, they pulled back, slipping into warp without a final strike. On the bridge of the human ship, Dr. Elias Carter let out a long breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "They're leaving," a crew member said. Carter nodded. "For now." Days passed. Repairs finished. Wounds healed. The ship resumed its quiet patrol of the frontier. Yet something had changed. Messages spread faster than ships ever could. Human blood was incompatible with vampirin feeding. Humans had healed an enemy. Humans had held a line without crossing it. Across the galaxy, species listened. Lyra did not return to the vampirin worlds. She chose exile, settling on the edge of neutral space. Humans did not claim her. They simply offered shelter. She stood on a quiet station overlooking stars she had once hunted beneath. Carter visited when he could, bringing medical supplies and conversation. "You could have stayed away," she said once. "So could you," he replied. They watched ships pass in silence. "You changed my people," Lyra said. "Even if they deny it, they'll adapt," Carter said. "Eventually. And if they don't, then we'll be ready," he answered. "But we won't strike first." Lyra studied him. "That still confuses me," he smiled. "It confuses most of the galaxy." Years later, history would record that moment not as a war, but as a turning point. Vampirin raids declined. Fear-based empires weakened. Negotiations replaced exterminations, and humanity earned a new reputation. Not conquerors, not saviors, but something far more unsettling. A species that could endure monsters, heal enemies, and survive without becoming either. Lyra watched the stars and felt no hunger, only purpose. And somewhere deep in the galaxy, every species learned a simple truth they would never forget. If humans choose to fight, they will win. If humans choose mercy, they will change everything.